DeepSeek R1. Everybody keeps going on about the exciting part of this AI model. In this video, I'm really excited to show you a bit more of how I use DeepSeek to generate my own podcast generator. Please continue on. There we go.
Welcome to Gary's podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining. I'm Noah, really excited to tell you a bit more about my Lightning AI presentation. So, a bit more about me. I run 3 successful business ventures. The first one, Born & Brand, is a software development agency. Really exciting stuff that we've been building. We work with many different industries, from medical to finance to legal tech. And we also specialize in MVPs. So we tend to, on average, build within 7 weeks. Then I also have another successful business venture called What AI Idea. We specialize in large document summarization. This is an exciting venture, and this one is more for enterprise clients, where we focus on meeting preparation and also eliminating large documents into a very easy digestible report summary. And then the last one I've got, which is more about why we're even here today, is called Gary. Gary is a sales and marketing AI persona chatbot, which I built, which helps me every single day with many different ideas and sales strategies. So today's agenda, we're going to go into a bit more about AI adoption, how fast it's been growing, and particularly what is the reference point where we are today. Then we're going to go into AI with code. A lot of, many different exciting tools have been coming out to help people optimize and code faster and be able to launch products in a very short timeline. And then lastly, we're going to go into the actual platform itself, Lightning AI, and how I've used Lightning AI's cloud. So it all began. So quite a while back, about a couple of weeks ago, I started this venture called Gary. Now, Gary's a sales and persona chatbot. He's been trained on thousands of top sales and marketing documents, and he helps people around the world secure and close business deals. On average, he's already brought in over $100,000 worth of business for many different people. It started from a community. So I run a successful community of over 200 business founders. My community has also been growing very fast. But more importantly, I was getting many different inquiries and requests in my community from people, many developers really struggling to, define and clarify their value. So for a great example, being one of the developers was struggling to negotiate via email on a deal where they were looking to win $5,000 worth of business. They really didn't understand how they could build their value proposition on an email and how to negotiate, and also language was a barrier as well. So Gary actually helped convey the right messages, and more importantly, Gary supported this client of mine's deal. Then I realized that, it wasn't just for the community, but maybe I could build this as an application. And that's when I launched GaryHormozy.com. Anybody who's listening on this video is more than happy to obviously view the end there. So now, one of the most common requests has been on Gary. Well, how can we, be quicker, be faster, and being able to, communicate and be better at communicating with Gary? And that's when I thought to myself, well, what if I gave Gary a voice? So that's the beginning of the story. Now, if we take a step back a bit, where we are in today's landscape. So in an overall sense, it's quite crazy. In, last year alone, we had over 300 million people using AI services such as ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, to name a few. Now, from a reference point, there's only approximately 28 to 29 million software developers on the planet. So that's a huge ratio difference. And to me, that really highlights and shows that there's many people on the planet who not only need help, and the AI really helps them to mimic, obviously, the support that they require, but more importantly, there's people out there that have ideas. They want to really build something, and they want to be excited at how they build these things. And that's where I feel AI really, really flourishes and, helps in that element. So when we're talking about AI and how AI helps people, we're obviously going to look at particularly AI coding tools. Now, this is just to name a few. And when I'm talking about AI coding tool, this is a tool that allows you to just, in a conversational manner, describe what you want, and the AI will be able to build this for you. From a simple calculator to a simple basic, Flappy Bird video game where they really started, to now being able to full scale, micro SaaSes and application management, dashboards, Now, this is a great and exciting part of the world of the generative AI space, but more importantly, it's really empowering individuals. So if you are a developer or if you're trying to learn to develop now is the best time, as these tools can really speed up the process and allow you to go from, just an idea to something that is actually not just lines of code, but you can visually see and works straight out of the box. Of course, there's going to be some challenges, there's going to be some bugs and issues that you will come across, but it's part of the journey of learning, right? Nothing works perfectly straight out of the box. Now, so these are just to name a few. So we've got Replit. Now, Replit, to give you a bit of context of what the business is, in the past, Replit has been an example of a business that has helped people really educate and learn how to code, as it allows you to, on their application, it allows you to go in there, write some code, and they manage everything from databases to self-hosting to deployment, everything. So they really want to, make it a one size fits all, a central place. And it's great because they launched this thing called the Replit Agents. Now, Replit Agents allows you to, again, describe what you want, but a team of AI agents work together to get you to build for you exactly what you're looking for. They've also made some great collaborations with Unsplash, so they have, some great images that always get added into the applications, as templates. And then we've got another one called Windsurf, very similar to Replit. However, with them, it's more of an AI coding tool chatbot, similar to Cursor as well. And then the last one I've got here is called Cursor. Now, Cursor, what they've done, which is very different to the other two, is they've actually built their own version of Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is an IDE. What that means is it's a great, platform that allows you to code and write the code and develop as you're looking to do something, rather than just going on a terminal or terminal command. And what Cursor's done is it's allowed you to they've just thought, let's think of it from a developer's perspective, and it's one of the most popular ones for actually. So, what is the problem? Well, the problem is the majority of these AI coding tools, they use closed source models. I'm talking closed source, such as ChatGPT, Claude, where these companies are charging you very cheap prices. I use them all the time, but they're not open source. So they own the intellectual property. They can decide if and when they want to turn off the tap. They can also, more importantly, change these models at some point without even you noticing. And then they sometimes may feel like they're dumber, or they may feel like they're not as good quality as they were a week, 2 weeks before. But most people, very few people. Now, what if these people had their own AI models running? What if you could just run your own large language model of generative AI to build and code for you? And particularly, what if you could run it and use it for what you require? Now, these are some of the barriers of entry I had about a year ago, 18 months ago, when I tried to run my own AI models. Starting by too expensive. A lot of these providers that you're looking at, they're starting to charge you on an hourly rate. And as exciting as that is, it adds up very quickly. $2.50 an hour to $5 an hour. So even in some instances, $10 an hour for a cluster of GPUs, which is where the AI models run. And then the next thing is they seem to be too complex. It sometimes feels a bit like you need a PhD in just understanding the documentation or really understanding what you're trying to achieve at some of these platforms to learn or how to set things up. I've attempted many times, even YouTube tutorials, and I still think there's a huge, barrier of entry for not just developers, but general individuals to learn. I mean, there may be 29 million developers, as I mentioned before, but there's way more people who are very excited to try and learn their own mini project. And the last one, bad quality. The concern being some of these open source models are actually worse quality than these closed source models. Why would you want to run an AI open source model if you've got the world's most powerful AI model that costs? So this is a great segue into a comparison. So as I mentioned earlier, I was really excited to give Gary, a voice. And I didn't just want to give Gary a voice, but I wanted to give him the best voice I could find. And with that comes obviously a premium price. Now, at the moment, the best way to describe this is if there's the world in a great, metaphor element, if you wanted to look at what a Ferrari would look like for voice AI, I'd say 11 Labs is that. 11 Labs is an amazing business. They started out really great. I use them still quite often, but the main issue and the main barrier of entry is price. So on average with 11 Labs, you're looking at over $4 per hour for one user if you're hosting this and you're trying to run this for 60 minutes. If it's 6,000 minutes, it really adds up for 100 users. That's about $43 an hour that you're going to have to spend with 11 Labs. Now, if I wanted to look at open source, I found an amazing and exciting open source trained on voice, and it's a text-to-speech model. What that means is you describe text, and then the AI responds with a voice of the text that you've described, that you've given it as an input. So as comparison, we've got here it's 60 minutes for one user, over 30 cents an hour if you're hosting it via CPU. If you're using a GPU, a little bit more pricey, but it's worth it in my opinion. You can host concurrent 100 users, 6,000 minutes at 60 cents an hour. So you can already see the price differences. Now, of course, the issue here is the barrier of entry. And when I'm talking about barrier of entry, I'm specifically talking about how difficult it can be to launch and the complexity involved of launching them. And that's where I stumbled upon and that's where I stumbled upon Lightning AI. Now, Lightning AI is really exciting, as they don't just offer GPU rentals, but as you can see, they have a strong track record with many different businesses. As LinkedIn is one of their clients, where their AI model was trained using Lightning. They've got NVIDIA. They also have Cisco. So there's many different businesses that work with them on an enterprise level. But more particularly, I was quite interested with their latest Lightning AI. Now that's their flagship product, you to use GPUs and use AI models in an IDE. Now, when I mean an IDE, I remember I mentioned earlier about Cursor and how Cursor absolutely dominates with the AI coding world because they have their own IDE. Now, in my opinion, that is a much easier way to explain and to also allow people to learn and develop with the tools that you launch. So here it's and also another point here is it's easy to use GPUs with them. So it's literally you press a button and you can, rent a GPU. You can code fast, and they have many different starter templates. Now, if I compare this against RunPod, which took me over 2 weeks to launch for my business, when I was using their tools, again, I have no issues. They're an exciting business. But the challenge here is with RunPod, there is a lot of complication. There's a lot of bloat, in my opinion, of how to set up and how to deploy. And last one, Amazon SageMaker. Amazon Web Services have their own version of GPU rental called SageMaker. Again, very complex. When I used it, I don't know about yourself, but I really felt like it was incredibly complex and it was challenging to even use or. So what did I want to do with this Kokoro AI voice model? Well, firstly, I wanted to build a proof of concept. I wanted to see if I wanted to give Gary a voice, how can I give Gary a voice? Well, step one, I wanted to build my own podcast AI voice generator without coding. So I had a deadline, 90 minutes, and I set myself. And with these 90 minutes, I wanted to code without using, with AI helping me code. So step two, I used DeepSeek. Again, very popular at the moment. There's a lot of, I'd say, controversy. Where is your data going to be stored? But for this project and with this exercise, I wanted to not spend as much any money on this, and I wanted to just launch. So I used DeepSeek. Then I wanted to provide Lightning AI documentation with Lightning Cloud for what I wanted, which was launching and deploying Kokoro, and then not just launching and deploying Kokoro, but setting up a podcast just for me to test the quality of it. So what did I do? So across two 45-minute slots, the first one, I chatted away with Lightning AI documentation on DeepSeek, and then I got two code bases and I pasted them, one for the front end and one for the back end. So here is Gary's podcast generator. As you can see, we have here you enter the script for speaker one, you choose, BF stands for British voice, AF stands for American voice, you can choose, and then you obviously put, speaker one, speaker two. Here's a really clear waveform, so it shows you the different, colors for, speaker one and speaker two, and here is a test of that. And I will shortly show you. So here I am in Lightning AI. Strangely randomly called Female Peach. I will just go to deepseek.com. Here we go. So you can see how when I started. So this is the front end code. And now to run the front end. And then also I'm using Gradio. Had a little bit some issues, particularly on the WAV and the WAV file and the audio format, but it all got resolved in the end. Just waiting for this to load. Here we are. So we have here a Kokoro 82 million parameter size model, very small. We've got here the podcast backend, podcast frontend. So this is the backend code, only about 92 pages that DeepSeek generated for me. And then here we've got 93 lines of code of the front end. So if I'm just going to go to the terminal now, as you can see, it's really simple to set up. So I'm just going to cd. I'm going to go into cd Kokoro. cd just allows you to easily go into the actual so now I'm just going to launch the front end. Here we go. So it's running on this public URL. Open. Welcome to Gary's podcast. Thanks for having me. Look forward to chatting more. I'm going to choose a speaker. We're going to go Emma, British voice, and then we're going to do British male George next. We're going to hit submit. There we go.
Welcome to Gary's podcast.
Thanks for having me. Look forward to chatting more.
You can see, there we go.